Welcome back to another episode of the Field of 68's 2024 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles presented by Unified Healing. My name is Rob Dawson. I got Terrence Oglesby here with me, and today we are going to be breaking down one of my favorite players in college basketball last year, and one of the guys that I think is one of the highest floor players that you can get in the 2024 draft, and that is Providence guard. I'm not going to call him a point guard. I'm not going to call him an off guard. I'm going to call him a guard. You should probably just call him a hooper. Devin Carter. Coming off a season where he averaged
A dude.
19.7. He's a dude, man. A dude through and through. He averaged 19.7 points. As a 6'3" dude, he averaged 8.7 boards, 3.6 assists, shot 38% from three, which was up from under 30% as a sophomore, and was the Big East Player of the Year this past season, playing on a Providence team that once Bryce Hopkins went down, did not have all that much around him, and was one bid thief, hello NC State, away from making the NCAA tournament on a team that was basically Devin Carter and a bunch of other guys. So what do you make of him? What do you make of his projection to the next level? I would argue that when it comes to functional athleticism, I don't think there is a guy in this draft that is better at being able to take the physical gifts that he has been given and turn them into actual production on a basketball court than you're going to find in Devin Carter.
Yeah, and throw in a massive wingspan. It's what was it, 6'8.5", 42. What was it, 42-inch vertical? 40-inch vertical.
He's just over 6'3" in shoes. He has 6'8", I think it's 6'8.5" wingspan. He's got a 42-inch max vert, and he set the record for the three-quarter court sprint in the NBA Combine at like 2.87 seconds, something absolutely absurd.
I think the fact that he moves like a linebacker as opposed to moving like a gazelle, I think has thrown off people as far as like, is he a good athlete? Is he not a good athlete? Because he's not like this loping guard that's just light on his feet. He's a bulldozer is what he is, and he just does winning shit. I like guys that do winning stuff consistently. And even though Providence was shorthanded, coaching change, best player went down, or best college player went down, Devin Carter continues to produce. You go on and you look at his synergy, you look at the games that he played all year, it's just winning, impactful basketball with consistency. And the thing that stands out to me more than anything, I saw him play for Frank Martin at South Carolina when his freshman year. It was their opening season MTE up in Asheville. And I watched him play, and I talked to Frank after the game. I was like, he sees angles as well as seniors see the angles. He was ahead of the game as far as, I catch the ball, I can get into this much space if I explode right now, and I can get there quickly. Throw in the fact that he's strong as an ox. He's developed his jump shot, and that's been work, because that was a three-part situation whenever he was a freshman. It was hips, then set, then pause, then shoot. There was a lot going on. You go back and look at his three-point makes this year, and it's a different situation. It's fluid. It comes off. It's still a little bit of a low release point. But the weird thing about it, Rob, the tighter he was guarded, the better the shot looked. It was a weird thing. If he was wide open, he was shooting it from under his chin. If he was contested somewhat and he was still going to make it, he got that ball high and it was fluid getting out of his hands. I'm a Devin Carter fan, and there's a lot of guys that they score points in college and they're not going to score a ton of points in the NBA, but they're still going to impact the game. Devin Carter's that guy. Whether it's on the glass, there's not many guards 6'3" that are going to average 9 boards a game. Like, he did that. There's not many guys that are going to average 2 steals a game to throw in on top of that, almost 4 assists. Like, this guy impacts the game and does so in winning fashion. You want to talk about a guy, and I'm just going to throw it out there just as an immediate example, and this was my comparison anyway, but Jose Alvarado and the type of impact that he makes on a giving night because of his hustle, because he plays so hard, because he brings his lunch pail to work every freaking day. Devin Carter is going to be able to do that, but he's going to be bigger. I'm not sure that he's going to shoot it quite as well early in his career, but I'm not ruling it out either, because he just impacts winning and he's always around the ball. He just attacks the glass like that ball's supposed to be his. And there's not many guards his size that do that. I think he's going to be tremendously impactful. And there are going to be games whenever he's drafted and the team that he's drafted to makes the playoffs. It's going to be game 2 or game 3, and he's going to flip a game. He's going to be that other guy. And JJ Redick calls him an Alfred. Dude, serious Alfred potential right here with Devin Carter and being able to flip games on their head in a matter of 6 minutes. I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, the thing about him is, so he averaged basically 20 points a game this year, right? But he ain't I don't think anyone would call him a scorer. He's out there. He can score, but I don't think that you would call him a scorer in terms of what his strengths are. He shot 38% from 3 on, I think it was more than 4 attempts per game, right? But I don't think anybody would call him a shooter. He could shoot it, but I don't think anybody would call him a shooter. And I think those are the reasons why I'm so high on him. Is like the reason you want to draft him is because of all the intangible stuff that you just mentioned, right? Like, I don't think he gives a shit about scoring. I don't think he gives a shit about his numbers. I don't think he gives a damn about how many shots he's going to get in the game. I think what he cares about is whether or not his team has more points than the other team when everything is all said and done. Like, I think he's just an absolute competitor. And he played through a lot of injuries this year. He was not healthy at the end of the season, and he was still able to will his team to victories that they probably shouldn't have won. I think that he is somebody that you put on the floor, connects everything else, makes you better as a team. And oh, by the way, if you decide that he's going to be the guy that you don't want to guard, or you're going to try to say like, okay, we can risk a game, we can risk quarter where you just let him be the guy to try to beat you. I think that he's going to be able to step up, and in those moments, he will be able to beat you.
Yeah. Another thing too is he's so big and physical, like strong, like big shoulders. Guys just bounce off of him. And the thing that sticks out to me too, when he attacks the rim, he's got these big long strides.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's able to get the spots to where they don't look like
And it's not
quick.
just like, there's a lot of guys where they take those long strides, and then at the end of it, they're not able to elevate, right? That last step, and they kind of have to like absorb through contact. He's able to take those long strides, and then that last step, he's still getting up there and dunking it on you.
Yeah. And not only that, he doesn't get knocked off. So like a lot of things in the NBA, you get downhill, there's a lot of contact inside 8 to 10 feet. And a lot of people are like, no, the NBA, they call every foul, and they do call a lot of fouls. However, there's a foul on every play, and you're going to have to be strong whenever you attack inside of 15 feet. This dude is a bulldozer, and he just is going to be that guy that impacts winning. Him and the San Antonio Spurs is like a match made in heaven, because he's just going to do winning shit, and they need guys that do winning shit, because they got Wemby and a whole bunch of guys that don't do winning shit. So like his impact without the ball, even though he scored 20 points a game, his impact without the basketball is what's going to be so valuable. And I'm telling you, when he gets to the playoffs later in his career, he's going to be that guy that you're going to be like, damn it, he's just so good and he's so valuable. And there's something to be said too. And this is kind of a blown, I don't know if this theory is going to pan out, but with guys whose parents played in the NBA, or dads playing the NBA, or moms playing the WNBA. And this has been seen over and over and over. There's just a sense of that player understanding I belong here. And it just seems to happen that way. Like whether it's Jeremy Grant, whether it's Jerian Grant, like the list goes on and on, especially now where we're hitting second and sometimes third generation NBA players. They feel like they deserve to be there. And because of that, there's not this apprehensiveness of, am I good enough to be here? He's just going to feel like, and he's going to understand what he has to do. So I'm a fan. I think he's going to impact winning. The biggest negative I have on Devin Carter is that jump shot going to be consistent from NBA 3? And I think it could be. I don't think it's going to be a strength.
After threes he shot this year from the logo already. Like
the worst negative I have, he's got the worst due in the draft. The worst due in the draft.
Whether you are a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross-country travel, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of the Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at one of the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to unifiedhealing.com/unified68 to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/UNIFYD, the number 6, the number 8. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
No,
Oh, man.
I think you're drafting him for what he is. He's not an all-star. He's just an impactful guy.
Here's two things on that. One, I do think that the three-point shot is going to translate. I think that if you go and look at the numbers, he shot it really well from deep this year. Like I don't have the stat written down in front of me, but he shot a higher percentage than you would expect from like 28 feet and beyond, and he shot a lot of those from 28 feet and beyond. Catch and shoot, he was over 40% on catch and shoot jumpers and scored 86th percentile nationally in terms of points per possessions, or points per shot, according to Synergy. And he's got like this, it's kind of a weird release, and it's kind of a moon ball. Like feels like you're gonna take out the rafters when he shoots, but it goes in. Like
he's worked his ass off.
Yeah.
Like he has just worked and worked and worked at it. You can tell just the release, how comfortable he is. Not Lou Dort, because Lou Dort has made a way of being a pest and a big, strong defender. He's not that, but the same kind of impact, I think, is very possible.
Yeah. The one question that I would have is, he's listed at 6'3", and he actually is 6'3", and I've walked by him before, and I'm just a shade under 6'3", and he is taller than me. Right. He's not one of these guys that's listed at 6'3" and is actually 6 foot and a half inch, Bronny James.
But he's 6'6" in Bronny James measurements.
Yeah, 6'6". He's 6'6". He is a guy that would be listed at 6'6", you would think, based on how tall he actually is, right? But I do question whether a guy that is 6'3" and like 205 pounds, can he guard more than just point guards, right? Like that would be my one question is, does he kind of get limited in terms of he can only guard one position at the next level? And if you can only guard one position at the next level, then it kind of limits where you can play in terms of what teams you're on. Cause I don't think he's a primary creator. So you'd have to be on a team that has one of these like jumbo sized, like a Paolo or a Luka Doncic, or one of these guys that's like 6'7", 6'8", that can create offense while playing or guarding the 3 or the 4. You know what I mean? Like it kind of limits in terms of what his versatility can be. But I think that that's kind of you're picking nits at that point in terms, like he's just.
I think you go in knowing his role.
Yep.
Exactly. He's another one of these older guys. Like you go in understanding his role from the beginning. He's an energy guy. I do think sometimes I think switches are a little overblown in the NBA because they're going to pick and choose. And I'm going to be honest, like if I'm trying to find my switch, I'm not sure Devin Carter's the guy that I'm trying to go after, even with that size. There's going to be other worse defenders on the floor than Devin Carter. So I worry a little bit less about that. I think his instincts defensively too are awesome. And he's just a guy that can swing a game on a given night. And there's value in that.
I agree. All right, let's get into his comparison for the next level. You already said Jose Alvarado. I have 4 other guys written down.
Okay.
I think if we're talking like worst case scenario, I think you're looking at a Javon Carter kind of a player, or a Davion Mitchell kind of a player.
Yeah.
A guy that's going to get like 12 to 15 minutes per game, that might bounce around to a bunch of different stops, that is going to be out there because of what they can do defensively, but the offensive limitations kind of limit how big their role can be.
Yeah.
I think from like a best case scenario, I think from an upside standpoint, we're talking Bruce Brown with a jump shot, or we're talking like I think even Pat Beverly is kind of in the range of outcomes, because both the one thing that you can say about
He's
Pat
bigger than
Beverly,
Pat. Yeah.
yeah, but Pat Beverly is wired in a certain kind of a way that I think it
Pat Bev
Devin
is an
Carr,
insane person.
yes, and I think
And
when
I mean that in the most, like this hasn't been a stellar 3 weeks for my man Pat Bev,
yeah,
but the way he's wired is very valuable. And I'll never forget, I played in the Euro camp in Treviso, Italy, coming out my sophomore year. He was there too because he had just played a year in Ukraine. Those guys didn't know what hit him because Pat was picking everybody up full court. Some of these guys couldn't get it past half court, and Pat was dunking on them. And like, there's a certain thing to talk about your mentality, what you bring to the team. I'm a Pat Beverly fan, first and foremost. I wasn't a fan of how he treated some people here recently after a game, but from a player perspective, from an impacting winning perspective, Pat Bev's up there for me. Carter has some of those same tendencies, some of those same things that drive him.
the best way to phrase it for the younger folks that are listening to this is you say he's got that dog in him.
Yeah,
Right, T.O.?
that he
He's
does.
got that dog in him. I said Bruce Brown with a jump shot. I think if you look at what Denver was missing this past year without Bruce Brown, I think that you can draw a straight line from where Bruce Brown is now to where Denver is right now as the defending champs, right?
Where the hell is Bruce Brown?
Not on Denver anymore.
No, he's not. He sign a contract in the offseason that was worth a lot.
Yeah, Toronto. And he
right.
also has a horrible mustache right now, which is not ideal for him. But yeah,
what kind of mustache would you call that?
The mustache that he has is a 15-year-old that is trying to prove that they can grow facial hair mustache, which is not the kind of mustache like you don't want a mustache like that. Bruce Brown, you gotta shave that thing off. We've gotten distracted here, which tends to happen. We've been recording for too long. So that is the end of our Devin Carter breakdown here. Make sure you stick around to the Field of 68. We're going to have more than 40 of these NBA draft prospect profiles coming out. And we will also be doing a live in-person mock draft about a week before the NBA draft actually happens. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll have an announcement on when that is happening soon enough here. So for Terrence Oglesby, for the NBA teams that are watching this, go draft Devin Carter. You won't regret it.